Hi again, welcome back on Usika. So today let's make a nice chocolate cake with chocolate frosting and chocolate ganache. So we're going chocolate all three ways. So let's get started. For the ingredients we need a cup of chocolate syrup. I made the homemade chocolate syrup. I'll share the link below in the description box. And I have butter and 4 eggs and a cup of flour, a cup of sugar, and all of the ingredients are in the room temperature. Make sure not to forget this step. You can leave a night before you're going to use it, the eggs and the butter, especially because they need to be in the room temperature. So all of the measurements of all the ingredients are in the description box below. Do check it out for details. But it's a very simple, easy cake. So let's get started. I'm going to break open the eggs in a separate bowl. Always try to do that, not to add it directly to the mixing bowl. Sometimes the eggs are spoiled. So I'm going to whip up the butter now with a cup of sugar. And I'm going to whip the butter until it is nice and light before I add the granulated sugar. So I'm going to whisk them up both on high speed using my electric mixer. So separating all of the 4 eggs in a separate bowl, and we're going to add these eggs one at a time after the butter and the sugar has become nice and soft or nice and airy otherwise. So let's add the egg one at a time and make sure to reduce the speed of the mixing bowl. And once all the eggs are mixed, we'll add a cup of chocolate syrup. You can definitely use Hershey's chocolate syrup, but this is a homemade one. And if you are also looking to use a homemade one, do check out my link below. So I added a pinch of salt. Make sure to clean the bowl every time before you add the next ingredient. In goes the vanilla extract. And now I had sieved the flour at least twice. So what happens is when you sieve the flour, it's nice and airy, and it's easy, and make sure there's no lump in the flour when you sieve it. So I'm going to add the entire flour little by little into the mixer, and we're not going to beat the mixer on a high speed at this point because we don't want to build any gluten into the flour. So once all of the things are mixed well, the batter is ready. I'm going to use a spring pan to put the batter in, and I have already started the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And definitely I'm going to share all of the details. Do check it out. So I have tinned, buttered and powdered with the flour my tin, and this is going to keep the cake non-sticky to the pan. And always allow the cake to cool down before you're ready to separate it from the pan. It took me around 45 to 55 minutes in my oven at 350 degrees, but each oven is different with the temperature, and so use it accordingly. So make sure the center of the cake is not too wet. So let's make nice chocolate frosting for this cake. So the proportion for the frosting is I'm just using 1 cup of cocoa powder to 1 cup of powdered sugar to 2 sticks of butter. And the butter that I'm using is not salty, so we're going to not add any salt to this. Maybe a pinch of salt just to bring out all the flavors together. So I'm going to whip up the 2 sticks of butter. Same procedure, just going to make it nice and light and airy. And I'm going to add a dash of vanilla extract to the cream. And I have sieved the cocoa powder and the sugar together, so it's nice and airy before I am going to add them to the butter that we just whipped. Make sure to keep the speed on the mixer very low because you might have powder all over your kitchen. So mix well and keep stirring until they all come together. So at this point we are going to add 3/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. That is because the cream is too thick. We need something, a consistency where it's spreadable onto our cake. So the cake is nice and cold. I cut them into 2 halves so I can spread out our whipping cream in between as a layer. So like I told you, it's all chocolate cake, so definitely try this recipe. It's simple, easy, and definitely delicious. It's very better than your store-bought cake because it's a fresh cake. And always add the dollop of whipped cream on the center, not little by little, and then you spread it all over the cake. So the layer of the cream is going to be thicker that way. If you're going to put a little bit and then spread, the cake layer might not be very consistent when you look at it. So now I'm making chocolate ganache, and for that I took a cup of chocolate chip. To that I added a cup of hot heavy cream that I just heated up, and I mixed well. Because the heavy cream is hot, the chocolate chip really melts very quickly. So once it's melted, I'm going to just add the entire ganache on top of the cake and just going to slowly spread it around. And I'm going to allow the chocolate ganache to cool. Once the ganache is cool, you can see 2 different layers of chocolate. One is chocolate whipped cream and the other one is chocolate ganache. So when you cut through the cake, you can see different layers of chocolate: the chocolate cake, the chocolate cream, and the chocolate ganache. So I made this homemade macaroons. Maybe I'll share the recipe for the macaroons in another episode of mine. But the cake was really, really delicious. It's an all chocolate cake, and if you want to definitely impress your Valentine, definitely try this cake at home. And like always, if you haven't subscribed to Usika, do like and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching my channel. The cake was really moist and delicious chocolate cake.